Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And today, as you cannot see in the background, we are actually going to talk about, and you can't even see it yet, have trouble talking to people, question mark. Here are 6 tips from an expert conversationalist. Be prepared, explain why you share emotions with them, be curious and make it fun. And I hope that you can see it. And so I should introduce myself once again because I've just forgotten it often now. My name is Christopher Walk and I'm a 17-year-old graphic design student from Austria, and I'm really into having more in life than I have now and achieving more in life than I have now. And as I said, we are actually going to talk about 6 tips to create better conversations from experts, as it seems to be. And yeah, you can read it. And I think we will get straight into the 6 points they have. So the first one is break the ice. When you first meet someone, don't ask a pointed question like, what do you do for work? It's just something that everybody is asking you when they meet you, I think. That will get you off to a bad start if the person is unemployed. Oh, I didn't think about it. Instead, Gross says, tell me about yourself. That takes away your fear that your conversation will get started on the wrong foot. It also gives your conversation partner a chance to lead the conversation, which is more likely to make them feel good. Which I assume is true because, if you have the control over something, you'll like it more than if someone else has the control over it, I would say. Or it's for me like this, I guess. As a leader, you're likely to meet many people for the first time, including potential employee or customers. Gross suggestion can help you to break the ice in a very effective way. You can always move on to more detailed questions once you are comfortable with each other. And I think it's really important to begin good, because if you just begin bad, the other person might be in a defensive mood. There will never be such a conversation that than it would have been if you haven't just fucked it up right ahead. The second one, be curious. Gross believes it's essential to be genuinely curious about the person you're talking with. And it's also something I've already talked about and posted a post about on Instagram, that you should be generally curious or interested in the person you're talking with, which at the end kind of means that you are asking more questions than you're answering, which and it's actually from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie, one of my lovely books I talk about every episode. It seems like to be, but what did I want to say? Actually, he told a story where 2 persons were talking, and at the end, even though only one person was quite talking, because the other person wanted to be genuinely interested in this person. This person was, after the conversation, like, this was one of the best conversations I've ever had, even though, and this is the funny part, only he had spoken. And I just smiled as I was reading through these lines. Gross wants to know what the other person thinks, and she is good at expressing emotions, like empathy or sympathy, with her conversation partner, and explaining why. You will be a much more effective leader if you can connect with the person, as Gross does, at both an emotional and intellectual level. And also, I think that this is a very important skill, because if you make people like you, it just you can create much more customers or much more supporters and so on. And I think it's also in terms of interests. Just if they're interested in, let's say, I don't know, football or maybe another sport, baseball, and you actually know a little bit about it, and you should really try to emphasize with this person when this person is talking about baseball, and you might be like, oh yeah, I can understand this, but what is like if the situation is so and so on. So I don't know what I want to say, but just try to be curious. Yeah. Try to be curious and interested in the other person. I think this will make a lot of things better. The third one, be funny if you can. And I think, and I have to say that sometimes it's a little bit, it's really funny if I listen to people who have a conversation and one of them just made a joke and the other is like, yeah, something like this. And I instantly have to laugh myself because I'm like, you fucked up, man. But it's no shame, of course. It happens, or it will happen to me as well, I guess. Or it has already. Gross says, a good conversationalist is somebody who is fun to talk to. And the ideal way to be fun to talk to, or to talk with, is to make others laugh because you have a great sense of humor. If you can't make them laugh, at least don't waste their time. That's something anyone can achieve by being mentally organized, conscious, and energetic. I think this is possible for almost all leaders. And I also think that humor is a very great part of also emphasizing with someone, but not with every person, because at my point of view, there are just some people who are generally not, funny or interested in jokes and so on, and they're generally more serious than other persons. And so then you have to just think of yourself if it's a good idea to make to be the funny guy when you're talking to such persons or people. But let's see what the fourth point says. Prepare. Gross tries to read everything about the person she is going to interview because it helps her to organize her thoughts and come up with questions she will try to ask. And this is a very good thing. And this once happened to me in a kind of negative way when I was trying to get an internship in a company here, and the guy I was talking with was like, did you inform yourself a little bit about our company? And I was like, yeah, a little bit, but not that well, actually. And I felt like that I had done something bad, or just I would have, or I should have, read something about this company. But at the end, I did get the internship, and so everything went well. That will help. So, sorry, if you're meeting a potential employee or customer, you should follow her example. That will help you develop a clear vision of how you want the conversation to go and what you'll do if things don't proceed as planned. So like a backup plan, I guess. So, the fifth one, take control. Conversations are a two-way street. Each person wants to achieve their aims and control bounces back and forth. And I actually think, as I'm reading through these lines, that if you're the one who is interested in the other person and is asking more questions than answering them, you are quite in control of the conversation, because you give the input to where this conversation leads. And so I think it's a circle of they just play with each other. This the fifth point, so to take control, and the second point, to be curious. Very interesting. Or Gross suggests that if someone, say a potential customer, asks you a question and you don't have a good answer for it, you should shift the conversation in a better direction by saying, let me share an experience. From there, you can tell a story that highlights your biggest strengths. Similarly, when interviewing a potential employee, be open to them doing the same thing if they feel cornered. So just being like, talk about your experiences. This is something I do not see often, but I've seen it that people get asked questions that are that familiar to them, or they just do not like to answer them in some kind of way, or because of some reasons. And then it's always good to just relieve this tension of the person, and also in this conversation, I just feel it some kind of. But yeah, but it was just funny. Like, if you get asked a question, you're like, let me share an experience. Something really, really different. And but yeah, let's see what the last and the sixth point is going to tell you. Pay attention to body language, and it's something I wanted to say once, which is pretty interesting because when you're talking to somebody, and you probably will be pointing with your feet to this person. So, I'm talking to you now, and my feet are talking or heading to you or pointing to you. And if somebody, or it seems to be like it, if somebody isn't interested in you, they won't be pointing their feet to you even though they're talking to you. They just, sit like this, or something, or this. I've just heard it, and it's quite a long time ago, when I was, this was not an article, but something on TV actually, and so I do not know if that's really the truth, but I am, it might be, and I think it is. But let's see what they talk about in terms of body language. I'm not highly attuned to other people's emotions, so I was relieved to learn that you can get by without being able to read others' minds. As Gross said, try to pick up on when you have kind of lost somebody's attention. Try to pick up, okay, and that's not so hard for me. If I am facing a class, I just look at whether people are falling asleep or looking at their phones. If so, I know I need to change the subject or I will lose them. For leaders, the lesson is simple. Pay attention to the message people are conveying non-verbally. If you don't, they might just walk away. If you feel these 6 tips have better conversations, will help you be a more effective leader. If you follow these 6 tips, your better conversations will lead you be a more effective leader. If I've just, this is something else. Was a quite great article, and I would actually say that we should be talking about another article actually, and I was also searching for tips which give you a result of quite a lot of articles from this website, and all these articles I think are pretty good. And let's see. Bup, 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 bup. Red Eye Business Flights, everyone reading. Yes, let's see. Tips from Elon Musk and someone else. Oh my god. Sorry for that. Sorry for taking your time. Actually, see, these tips will help you relieve your pre-Christmas stress, and just avoided this article because I didn't know, or I do not know by now, if there are great insights, but let's see. This fucking advert shocks me every single time I'm on this fucking website. No, it's actually a pretty good website, but so the first one is make lists, and I think it's always good to make lists or to plan your day ahead, because you do not get lost in your, overwhelming seeming stuff. And actually, today I was writing a list as well, and before that I was just like, I have so much things to do, and I'm so cranked, and I don't know. And actually, as I was writing it, then it seemed to be like, not that much actually. But let's see what they are telling. There is a lot to do. So you need to prioritize. Get the important stuff done so you can focus on the fun stuff, and so you can sleep soundly at night. First, distinguish between what you need to get done and what you want to get done. So what you need to get done and what you want to get done. This may require you to make some difficult choices, but be honest with yourself. Think of the people you need to buy presents for, and consider what you can give them. Make another list of the most important things that need to happen for that big project at work. Arrange your tasks into three categories, or something like this. I don't know. Need to do, want to do, and nice to have. You may find that the necessities aren't as overwhelming as you thought, as I was saying just before. So three categories. The first one is need to do, the second one is want to do, and the third one is nice to have. Pretty great. Pretty great. The second one is strategize and plan. Consider the task you need to-do list. Consider the tasks in your need-to-do list. Break each task, I'm sorry for clicking this. Break each task down into action steps that are specific and quantifiable. Make a schedule for when each step needs to be completed. How can you make the process more efficient? Can you buy the same present for multiple people? Can you purchase all the items you need at the same shopping center? At work? Can you use the same basic pitch for 2 clients? Each of these steps may not save you much time individually, but the difference quickly adds up. You'll be surprised how much faster things go. That's great, because often it is like in the design world that you can just use elements from one design, use it in another design, and or pick a lot of things from things you have done already and just make it into a new design, which really helps you save quite a lot of time. The third one, ask for help, which is pretty obvious, and I think I will not read this, because if you have a lot to do, just ask someone if they can do it, which is called outsourcing in the business world, I think. Let's see. Outsourcing definition. Obtain goods or a service by contract from outside supplier. Yes. But the fourth one, this one I will read, which is communicate, and I think that it is interesting. You can ease the worries of a lot of needy clients and family members by assuring them that you're on top of their needs. Call your clients to wish them a happy holiday and remind them about what you're working on for them. If you're going away for the holiday, tell them when you'll back and assure them they'll hear from you shortly thereafter. If you have too many clients to call individually, send out an email blast. Tell them you're taking a short break so that you can be well rested to attack their project with gusto upon your upon your return. You'll be acknowledging their needs, reminding them of your good work, and looking forward to your continuing relationship. I think that's good because only because of the reason that, or not only because of the reason that you, or primarily, let's say primarily because of the reason that you just, care about people and care about your customers, which is, as I think, pretty important to, be ahead of your customers and tell them what they are for you, some kind of, because they're actually, without customers, your company wouldn't be anything, wouldn't be there. And with this being said, thank you for watching. If there are any questions, as all the time, write down in the comments or look at the podcast description where all the social media platforms I am on are linked. And so if there's anything you want to tell me, just write me a DM or comment on my latest posts or whatever. But really thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the podcast and or to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you the next time. Thank you.